Okay, I'm just going to provide some very quick commentary on the match between Gene Simmons and gsvc, which will be the decider of the round 2 matchup between our two teams. gsvc is subbing in as board 1 for VariantsOnly, and Gene Simmons is the board 1 on my team. In game 1, Gene Simmons played e4, and gsvc played what's commonly called the wolf defense. And after e5 opening up the d file, he moves out the knight, attacking this pawn. So there are two attackers, and so naturally bishop comes out to defend. And now gsvc plays a very sharp line, which, as we can see in the comments, the lone wolf had discussed apparently with gsvc 20 minutes before the match as an idea to play. You sack on f2 and then play at g4. So white's got a good material advantage. Knight h5 is the sharpest line instead of withdrawing the knight. Knight h5 is the strongest move, but it has mixed results because it's a very sharp line. And the trap is in this position. Bishop takes h7, normally a thematic move, is actually not a good idea in this position. So actually I'll just say what the best move in this position is at d6, and the point is if black takes the knight, then you take the bishop. Maybe knight there check. You get this you get your king to safety. So for example, if queen here, threatening queen takes knight check, you can pick up the rook. You just try and get your king off to safety, and you can even just slide over to b1. So although there's going to be an exchange of queens, so notice this check forces an exchange of queens, so it's very dangerous for white. But actually, this square is covered by the bishop, so there's no back rank mate. This is an idea, but you can just take and cover this square. Although you can lose the bishop, you can just take the knight, and white has all the material in hand to win in this sort of position. Apparently, saying the best move is queen at d8. Yeah, and white's attack is faster. But that's actually itself quite a surprising move, queen at d8. I mean, I'd have thought there's something more obvious. So queen at d8, the idea is like if I just did bishop block, knight at g5 is a problem. Yeah, and if I go something like bishop here, knight at h8 straight away is the problem. Okay, so knight at h8 is the mate in one threat, which I didn't spot. That's very pretty. Really, that's incredibly pretty. And another line, which the computer gives after at d6. I mean, lots of possibilities. At d6, takes, check, block, and this sort of thing. But again, white's got quite a lot of material, and so yeah. It's a very sharp position because his king is in danger. But so for example, bishop takes f6, e takes f6. Suppose you just get king takes f6. Bishop to h4 will cover the mating ideas potentially, but I'm not sure. Is there? So the idea of this from white is you've got a material advantage, and you're hoping that saying at h5 check. Okay, so it's not clear. It's a very unclear position. I think so it's something quite good for black to play. But bishop takes h7 is a mistake because of, sorry, not here. The immediate bishop takes h7 is a mistake because of pawn takes knight, and queens are potentially going to be traded off. If queen takes d8, king takes d8. I wonder what comes next. Queen takes d8, king takes d8. So we can't afford to do this, presumably, because knight at e4 check distracts the knight, and then a queen comes in. Yes, that's lethal. So So that's so queen takes f3 is natural to avoid the exchange of queens, but then knight takes e5 is a nasty move, because if you take the knight, the queen comes in with check, and this square is controlled. And probably the only move to survive in this position a little longer is this, at e3, king f1, and then this idea, queen c1. But because the knight is blocked here, the knight can take this queen. So the idea of that is just to clear a space for the knight to come in, and knight takes f3. And this is good for black apparently, but not convincing. Not completely winning. But the natural move to play in this position is, of course, pawn here, and this is a forced mate. At e3 check, king steps back. If the king steps forward, it's still a forced mate. As follows. So you don't even take the queen, you just you give up the knight and get a mate. You pick up the queen with check in the end. And if the king steps back, which is again more natural, there's a very beautiful move, which is queen to c1 check. Giving up the queen just to make space for a knight, which is going to win the queen with check. And of course, if the king comes here, it takes with check, and queen here is checkmate. And if the king comes here, takes with check, and pawn here. And this is promoting, and now rook here, block, and queen here is checkmate. So a very beautiful game. So just to run through from the beginning again, very beautiful game from GSVC with some opening prep, which took Gene Simmons by surprise. Bishop takes h7, runs into this very sharp move, queen to c1. And I've never seen this before, but apparently the Lone Wolf had won a game like this against Jan Lee. So, and in fact, had also beaten Gene Simmons with exactly this line. So this game has been played 4 times in 4 times before, and this is the 4th time. So he needed to do his prep to learn that trick. Okay, and game 2, GSVC as white played the Rover in honor of Mania, of VariantsOnly. And I could open it up in analysis board, and it's running it through analysis at the moment. Okay, so he hits the rook, knight to c3, takes. There's going to be a queen trade. So he's hitting both this pawn and threatening a fork picking up the rook. So queen defends everything. Bishop to c4. So for example, in this position, the assessment is reasonably equal. So knight defends. Okay, so why doesn't he take with the knight? Because there's a discovered attack on the queen, obviously. So he takes with. So he wins 2 pieces for the queen, so that's not so bad. Blocks with the knight, so it defends the piece. He doesn't want to hang too much material. And he gets a counterattack on the queen. Queen steps back, counterattack on the rook. The rook finds itself out of squares. So, okay, I feel like black's played quite nicely, but he's down a lot of material. He's only got a queen in hand, and I think it's going to be quite hard to defend. So c takes d6, and queen a5 check, b6. So apparently queen at b6 was the only defense, because he's losing this bishop, and he's now losing the queen with check, and losing all his pieces. So yeah, that was game over. Interesting square of pawns at the end of the game. So what was the critical point? Probably so pawn here, which looks like such a reasonable move, apparently is a slight mistake. The best move being knight at b5. So why is pawn at c5 not so strong? Rook at d7 is apparently good. Rook d5 looked good, so, but apparently, yeah, queen takes rook. It allows, interesting. It allows white to sacrifice. Whereas rook d8, but rook d8 one could also sacrifice. So if you take the knight, what's the idea? You take back, and you can also sacrifice on this rook. But apparently it's not so strong. Black may be lacking a pawn to get in. So he might sacrifice his bishop to get that pawn he needs, but then black has time to defend, apparently. So queen at e7. So whereas in the game, with rook here, sac takes here. Well, again, white doesn't have a pawn in hand. So why is this so much worse? So it's so much worse for a very critical reason. Queen at a5. Because of this open diagonal. And picking up this bishop. And that once you pick up the bishop, you've got threats of a knight infiltration on the light squares. Yeah, and black doesn't have the piece he needs, which would be, for example, a knight on this square to defend. So his best defense was queen takes b6, queen takes d5. But okay, he defended with the pawn and then tried to defend with the queen. The knight still infiltrates. What a difficult position. And why couldn't he defend with the queen like this? Queen takes bishop. And yeah, rook f8. The knight still infiltrates. So it's a very difficult position. If king e7, knight takes d6 apparently is leading to mate. If king here, knight takes d6 is still leading to mate. Because that knight is too dangerous to capture. Yeah, and black's position is collapsing. So 2 very strong games from GSVC. GSVC was wondering if the bot can be programmed to send the challenge automatically. But yeah, we're not there. We're not so advanced yet. So we have a bot which, when you play the game, automatically loads up the games onto the web page. And thanks to Colwem for programming this. Building on the architecture of Chester in the Lichess4545 League, it's both when you schedule a time on Slack, it automatically posts it up on the website, and then when you start playing, it automatically posts up the links and the results. So it's a very useful. Now the last match is also very close between Cirque du Secret led by Schwanet and the Legionnaires led by Legion Destroyer. But there's one match still to be scheduled. They're having difficulty scheduling it, and only about a day and a half left between Samuel Haupt and Atamek. But however that match goes, will decide the round for these two. And ZHRO have proven to be very strong, and they're just one game away from taking. Either Darubaru has to beat War Goblin, or Rapid Variants has to beat the finisher in one game in order to take the round against the Inglorious Forkers. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching, and keep playing Crazyhouse.